Hey guys, I'm in Chicago. Pardon my unmade hotel bed in the background, but I wanted to do a video on this story. So last night was awesome because I got to see, Mikey Harlow, who you guys know, he's been on this channel several times. I'm doing the walkaway rallies with him and Brandon Strzok around the country. And last night, Mikey was featured at the RNC in a video they did about people that I think are like leaving the Democrats to vote for Donald Trump or might not be traditional Trump voters. And he and Brandon and other walkaway people got to go to the White House and to see Trump's speech. And I was just so overjoyed for all of them. I mean, it's an incredible thing to do. And so we watched the Mikey's video was awesome. I mean, the whole RNC I thought was pretty great. I've got another video I'm going to be making about that. But I woke up this morning and the first thing I saw was video from Brandon Strzok on Twitter talking about how he was attacked, had endured homophobic attacks last night from Black Lives Matter activists. And I gotta tell you, one of the reasons I joined the Democratic Party when I was 18 was because I grew up in Vermont. And when I was 18, I was 17, 18 years old, what was happening in Vermont was people were fighting to get civil unions passed, which was the precursor for gay marriage. This was one of my main driving forces for joining the Democratic Party, because I believe strongly that everyone should be able to love who they love and marry who they want to marry. And I mean, listen, guys, like, I know you guys all think I'm like a lesbian. I'm not, but this was an issue that I cared strongly about and was one of the main driving forces for why I stayed in the Democratic Party for so long. And so for me to wake up and hear that my friends, people who are, listen, there are a lot of inauthentic people that do this sort of thing. There are. Let's just call a spade a spade. There are absolutely a lot of inauthentic people that do this. But Brandon and Mikey are not inauthentic. They are genuine. They are acting with conviction. And they got to go to they were invited to the White House last night by a Republican administration, by Donald Trump's administration, the same administration who they were told wanted to put them in camps to cure them of their gayness. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And I'm so upset by this. I'm so infuriated for them. I just can't. So let's read about what happened. It's gotten a lot of coverage, but let's look at the post-millennial. Exclusive, Brandon Strzok speaks after enduring homophobic attacks from BLM activists. Brandon Strzok and Mike Harlow were walking away from the Republican National Convention last night on their way to the hotel when they were insulted with homophobic slurs and then physically assaulted by Black Lives Matter activists. And Brandon, this tweet from him, I haven't endured anti-gay attack in probably 10 years. Black Lives Matter activists physically assaulted me and Mike Harlow on our way to the hotel, calling us the F word and threatening us. The one girl comes back and knocks my friend's phone out of her hand. And I'm just gonna play the video. I'm not gonna put the sound on, but so you can see what's happening. And they're yelling, and like this one right here is, calling Mikey the F word, and Mikey's fighting back because Mikey's a fighter. But just absolutely ridiculous. And it's gonna go on for another couple seconds here, and you're gonna see that she's going to come forward and knock their phone out of their hand. Here she comes. Of course, they're not wearing masks. They always like to attack everyone on the Republican side for not wearing masks. But of course, they weren't wearing masks either. They're just out attacking people in the street. They also attacked Rand Paul and his wife last night. They were attacking older couples. There you can see the end of the video when they knocked the phone out of their hand. A woman yells, "He's a Donald Trump supporter. He supports racism." Strzok and Harlow have been touring the country, attending events for Strzok's Walkaway campaign, which states as its mission, and it's time to take our country back from radical leftists, and in effect, walk away from the Democratic Party that no longer represents values of equality, respect, or individualism. The post-millennial caught up with Strzok as he was leaving D.C. Physically, we're fine, he said, but I'm really, really, really effing angry. And I don't blame him. I'm angry for him. I cannot imagine I cannot imagine like what that must have been like, honestly. Like Brandon sent out another tweet later, and I don't think they talk about this in the article. A mob of Black Lives Matter protesters are in DC, staying at my hotel. I showed a group of them the video last night, and my friend and I attacked by BLM. Silence. They begin to film. I began to film, they left. Not a shred of remorse of any of them about what their movement did to gay men. So in this video, what you essentially hear, and this is of course available on Brandon's Twitter account, is he has shown them the video and they are simply ignoring him. They're not even looking at him. They're not even acknowledging what their supporters did to him last night. And he has another tweet. I'm just going to go and find it on his timeline, impromptu. Let's see. What happened to us last night is literally the inverted version of the story Jesse Somolet lied about. White gay men walking home at night attacked and called F-word by violent black radical leftists shouting, "You're Trump supporters, F you." Let's see if the media covers it. And then this is the one right here that really, frankly, broke my heart. I can't even describe the sinking feeling I got last night being attacked for being gay and just having to take it because if we defended ourselves, the media would label us racist attackers. At least back in the day when gay bashing was common, the media didn't blame gay people. My heart just breaks for the two of them, honestly. It was such a wonderful night. And then to have this happen, let's finish up the article. It was when they were leaving that a mob of activists heckled them and other RNC attendees at the White House gates. Well, most of the attendees turned right, he said, into the crowd. He and Harlow decided to turn left to go back to the hotel. They did this in order to avoid the mob, but it would not be successful. Strzok believes that many of the Black Lives Matter activists were from out of town, as many were staying in the same hotel that he and Harlow were, identifiable by Black Lives Matter's t-shirts. The sheer number of demonstrators and agitators caused the streets to be shut down, which made it hard for Strzok and Harlow to get a car back to their hotel. When they did get an Uber, they were unable to be dropped off at the hotel. Though it was a short walk of only a few blocks, they encountered a small group of protesters, women in Black Lives Matter's t-shirts. Noticing their attire, the women correctly assumed that Harlow and Strzok had been at the White House event. "Y'all are effed up," a woman said. "Y'all are a bunch of F-words." The women then approached Strzok and Harlow and charged. One woman threw a drink at Strzok and knocked the phone from his hand of their friend who was heading back to the hotel. The phone went flying 30 or 40 feet down the street, Strzok said. When asked if the incident had been reported to the police, Strzok said no. It was just before this happened, he said, when they were coming out of the White House, that some of the heckling mob had put their hands on Strzok. Police were there, he said. They did nothing. There's no point in calling police because they're not going to do anything. He added that we're not going to take our side anyway, even though we are gay men who endured an anti-gay attack. No one is going to care. Strzok said that they were flashing lights everywhere and that police seemed agitated and frustrated. He believes they were throwing up their hands in the face of the mob. Once they were back at the hotel, Strzok and Harlow could talk about the incident, and they agreed that what was the most disturbing was that these kind of attacks used to happen all the time, going back a decade or more, but this attitude is very different now. The difference is that back when they were anti-gay attackers, the difference is that back then, the anti-gay attackers didn't think that they were the victims, he said. Now the attackers think they're being victimized, which gives them justification to attack anyone they want to because they believe they are the victims of racism. That makes it all the more insidious, he said, that the attackers think that they are the victims. You know, I was thinking about a conversation I had with my mother, and if you guys have seen the other videos on the channel, I posted one the other day about talking to you, like what happens when TDS gets your relatives, essentially, and TDS has got my mother something fierce. I don't want to say, like, I don't want to portray her as a bad person or as an uncaring person. She does not understand what's happened in the Democratic Party. And I cannot think of a better example of how much things have changed. That these two men that are kind, that are amazing men, so smart, so driven, so I mean, they have convictions that they're fighting for, were attacked by Black Lives Matters activists. They were invited to the White House by the Republicans. They were invited to the White House to participate in the RNC by the Trump administration. This is not the homophobic part of the country right now. I mentioned in a video like last week, after the after the RNC speakers were announced, one of the things that was so striking to me was the outpouring of support on Twitter for people like Brandon and like Scott Pressler. Like, never in my life did I think truly that I would see Republicans demanding more LGBT presence at their convention. Never in my life did I think that. If there's not a better indication of how much things have changed, how much the parties have changed, how much things have shifted, I just don't know what it is. So hopefully I'll see Brandon and Mikey here in a little bit. We're all in Chicago for the walkaway rally. And I guess my hope for them is that they didn't let this insanity ruin what was, looked like an amazing night to me. But I'm just so sad for them. I'm so sad for them. I'm so sad for anyone else that has experienced this type of thing. I mean, I'm not gay, so I don't have to deal with this, but I really thought that this part of our history was over, and obviously it's making a comeback. All right, guys, that's all I got. I'll talk to you soon.